Hi everyone, welcome to Circle of Philosophy. I'm Sridevi Chopra. When we started these videos, I was wanting it to be a regular affair, but I had to take a break because of a surgery and I'm back now. It feels great. There is a philosophy in this too. I think when you make your plans, I think it's better to give a scope for life to bring its own plan too. On that note, let's start. I have with me Advendra Chopra.
Hi.
Today's topic is something which we all have played and are living as adults, as it is marriage. We've had interesting talks about marriage, and I thought it would be nice to share some of a glimpse with our viewers today. Can you tell us how philosophy looks at marriage?
Philosophy has a perspective, a clear one, but could you tell me what you think people at large have an understanding of what marriage is?
I suppose it's all about commitment for a lifetime, which is sometimes planned, sometimes arranged. Which is arranged or sometimes by choice.
Correct. And this commitment, I think, is where I would take from because philosophically, commitment is looked at as a form of dedication, an obligation. And to ensure that when you make a commitment to be with each other, to ensure that it is honored, there's legality involved. So marriage would be a legal entity, because casually you can say, oh, I am committed to this person, I'm in a relationship, very casually. But when you say I am married, it has to be something which is legally backed. And the reason for this is you are made answerable and responsible for the fallout that might happen if in case the reason that you have been together, you want to be together, and you decide for some reason, one or the both, that you don't want to be in this marriage. There are so many liabilities that needs to be looked after. In the sense that you have children who are not self-dependent, they depend on you, their future, about their upbringing, and then what about your own? If one partner has sacrificed their career life, what about the properties, assets? All the things which come into picture automatically. What does it tell us? It tells us there is a practical aspect to marriage. That's why it is very different from what actually makes it what marriage is, which is its soul, relationship. So a house would be a structure which is meant for people to live in. The people who live in are the soul. So relationship would be the soul of marriage. It is what determines the quality of marriage.
So, if a relationship is the soul or the spirit of marriage, then in that case, what is relationship?
The term relationship, it leads you to look at its literal term, relation, to be able to relate to another. So in this case, when two people are in a marriage, relationship here would mean how are they able to relate to each other, how better are they able to relate to each other. Automatically attraction becomes a very important point, because you need to be attracted to or by the other, which develops interest in the other, and then you want to find out, if I am with this other person with time, how much can I share of what I value, what I want, which means sharing of your time, your desires, your ambition, aspirations with each other. And the more similar they are, you have a desire to preserve it. Now that you have found this person whom you are attracted to, you want to be with this person because there is so much similarity. You want to have that on a long-term basis. So the care comes. You start taking note of what the other person likes, what they are interested in, and you want to be able to do some gestures which we call the acts of love. These are the three components which make a relationship what relationship is.
But these three things are there in many marriages, but they are missing in some. So how do we go about that?
The marriages where these three factors are missing is most likely an arranged marriage, because
it has to survive too.
It has to survive. But I'm saying the other person who has been chosen for you is not by you. So attraction is not your choice here. So there's no attraction, but that person is chosen for you. You have not had enough time to know the similarities of interest, which automatically means where is the motivation to preserve. So then you are in an arranged marriage, which means only with the passage of time you could discover the reasons for attractiveness, to find the similarities and to preserve. Like for example, if you are left on an isolated island with someone, so let's say I'm giving a similarity between marriage and isolated island. You don't have a choice, and then as time passes by, you will realize it is very difficult to stay away from each other, because you discover a very important factor underlying the first three is the need for survival, need for your existence. So you will need each other. You will find ways and means to find the attractiveness, to find similarities, and to preserve each other over a period of time. If there is a feasibility of that, most arranged marriage turn out to be a love marriage with passage of time. So it's not a lost hope, but time is very important to give, because a lot of people become hasty and they opt out even without discovering this.
Okay, interesting. But I have seen sometimes where the relationship has all these three bounties and gets into a marriage which is very fairy tale and romantic and beautiful, but with time it tends to wither away or lose its spirit. So why is it so?
I mean, this is a case of love marriage then. I think a lot of love marriages face this challenge.
Yes.
They spark with a big bang, a lot of spark, but then over a period of time they feel the love is lost, the spark is missing. And here the time again is a very important factor, because time also indicates change. Without change we cannot sense time. So it is inevitable that things will change. Your attraction or attractiveness, your feeling of similarities with each other, and also the desire for love to preserve each other will keep changing. The reason for this is because both of you will be growing, not only for each other but for yourself as well. So it's inevitable, and when you are not able to see that, you find it difficult to cope with change. So the change becomes very important. So one need to figure out how do you cope with it.
Okay. So you have to kind of grow and understand each other in the changes. Okay. Would you like to give us some tips on a healthy relationship which can end up in a beautiful marriage?
Actually, it's a very good question, because just now what we spoke about the change in the situation where you have all the three and then suddenly you feel it's missing. Here it becomes very important to take notice that why is it that the attractiveness, the feeling of similarity and the desire for love over a period of time withers away. First of all, you will grow old, and old could mean uglier. So you are going to fight against time of change, which means if you don't do the things which slow that process, you're likely to become more unattractive faster. So a lot of people, when they get into marriage, they become very lax in their upkeep, personal upkeep. Their lifestyles impact their health. So they are less likely to be more attractive as when they first met the person. The second thing is about communication. Since we spoke about the change and growth of individual beings, this is also a very important factor to keep alive. A lot of people, when they get married, they feel since it's married and it's committed, there is no need to talk, there is no need to know about each other because we are already married. But that is not the case. Actually, to keep that relationship alive in a marriage, you need to keep talking to each other. And not only talking, also keep listening to each other. Build the communication on a constant basis so that you slow down the process of change. And that is very important because you will get to know what the other person is thinking, what perspectives they are changing when compared to when they first met you. So it will not seem very strange and you will not misunderstand that for lack of love towards you, which is the third part. If this communication is alive, you are likely to keep feeling the desire and the need to show the care and gestures for that person in the way they feel loved. Like for example, if you have a partner who had certain preferences, whether it's movies or going out, leisure activities, let's say even food. So they liked tea a lot and you both used to enjoy tea. Over a period of time, your communication has not been so good and you keep thinking every time we have tea, this person is becoming less and less interested in that. And you start feeling, oh, maybe the person has changed their mind about me or changed the mind about spending time. But you may have overlooked the subtle cues that the person is interested to experiment with coffee and maybe they are not able to tell you because you're so attached to tea. So if you're able to one day bring coffee to them, they will be pleasantly surprised and their expression will reassure you that actually it's not you, it's about what you were doing for them. So the connection gets back. The moment you feel secure, the trust builds up, you automatically want to preserve. So you will do gestures which are in the present moment, not reflecting in the past.
It's very interesting. And you mentioned that the secret is talking. One of the secrets. So I wanted to know, sometimes this talking can lead to an argument or even a fight. How to cope with that?
So an argument or a fight between a couple is usually very good because it's only trying to establish a better communication. You know, when you see people argue sometimes so loud that entire neighborhood can hear you, it's only because they feel they're not being heard by the other. You know, that is the bottom line. So here, if at some point you can reconcile and you begin to solve that, which means you have re-established the communication required for that relationship. So then, you know, if you fight, you're only making progress. But if you fight and then you say, okay, we are always fighting because, you know, we at home we set up these topics, let's go for a vacation, let's go on a cruise, or let's go for a fancy restaurant, and you will notice sometimes you end up fighting there as well. So actually it's such a waste of time and money, because the problem is you have simply lost track of what communication is about. So you should seek professional help, a marriage counselor or a coach, because then they will supervise in the way you communicate to each other. You address the actual reasons for this gap of this doubt or suspicion. Once that kind of comes in place, they might actually encourage you to go on a cruise or a vacation, because then that will fortify this understanding. And that's very important. So you should not allow the time to be lapsed, and if the time has lapsed, it's better to seek professional help, because it is not something which you can just fix over by some random outings.
So marriage is nothing but an insurance where you have the liberty to make choices about children, your material aspirations, and the underlying truth is the relationship, so which you can build on by the mutual attraction, and the second being the talking and listening, which I guess it builds the trust, in any relationship. And then I think the third you mentioned about expressing the care. So I think you must feel free to express your care or love on gestures.
Actually, that is so true. You know, I have come across so many of my clients where one or either of them lacks expression. They do feel that they have relatedness, they do love, but they don't express, and the other partner is left in total speculation. So that's a very important point.
It gives a chance for them to think that person is different or the person don't care, and the other picks the same cue from each other. So I think go out there and express yourselves, and hope this video touched upon your life. Stay tuned and let the wisdom flow. Thank you.